Running this webinar, and thanks to ecoDa and Partena Professional for making this webinar possible. We will present ourselves shortly, and I will give the floor first to the ladies. And Hannele, if you could present you shortly.
Yes, thank you so much. Yes, my name Hannele Jansson, coming from Finland, and greetings from a very cold weather. So we had -20 degrees this morning and beautiful sunshine. So we love to speak about the weather. That's why I wanted to open in this way. I'm an executive vice president of people and culture at Neste, and I have actually been in more than 20 years in the executive leadership position at Neste, and currently responsible for human resources, safety, communication, brand sustainability, and public affairs. So quite an interesting variety of different responsibilities and functions reporting to me. And beside of my current role at Neste, I'm also the board member of Finnair in Finland. That's the aviation business in Finland, state-owned company Finnair, and also some other position of trust, like a chair of public affairs committee of chemical industry, and also vice chair of the skilled workforce committee at the Confederation of Finnish Industries. So I've been actually half of my career working in different business roles. My background is Master of Science in Engineering, Chemical Engineering, and then now more than 20 years also with a role in HR. So my kind of career path has been through the kind of leadership positions and business operations, come to the role of Chief HRO.
Thank you, Anna. Yes, Olivier, to you.
Yes, Serge. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Olivier Hérout. I'm French and I'm located in Paris. It's not so cold that in Finland, but today it's raining in Paris. I'm the Chief HR Officer for Equans. Equans, we like to say that we are a startup created in 2021. Coming from ENGIE. ENGIE is a big French corporation in energy. And Equans joined in 2022 the BRICS group. And the BRICS group, it's another big French corporation with activities in construction, media, and telecom. Despite the startup status, I said before, we have, because Equans, it's a big company, because we have 19 billion euros revenues and 85,000 employees in 20 countries. And we was 60% roughly of the revenues in Europe. And we are a world leader in businesses dedicated to energy efficiency and low carbon technologies. And we operate in the installation of electrical HVAC equipment and multi-maintenance activities.
Thank you, Olivier. Thank you, Olivier. Thank you, Anna. Well, for myself, I'm leading the Human Resources and People Governance Institute, which promotes people governance, of course, and tries to connect the board, the management, and the workforce community. Before that, I had different assignments as board member in public transport, universities, media, and so on, and as well HR functions, mostly in the health system. So again, thank you to everyone to joining this webinar, and again, thank you, Hannele and Olivier. It's really great to have you on this webinar and to have you today to share your insights on people governance. We will start with the people governance charter with a short presentation of the charter. Thank you. You can give the first slide about the charter philosophy. The charter's philosophy has two main aspects. The first aspect is related to the relationship that the board has with the management. ground on trust, dialogue, and this is important, continuity around people governance, as well helping business continuity. The second aspect of the Charter's philosophy is to strengthening the executive team, to contribute effectively to the board and advise the board on, of course, people governance-centric matters, but as well on human priorities. So we have looked to the charter, to the people governance charter, to underline two aspects. One, a trusted relationship with a board and a commitment with the board, and an advisory role of the executive team. Maybe remind, because Olivier has not mentioned that point, that Olivier has chaired that commission and was as well a member in 2007 when the commission started at that time. The second slide is a more formal definition of the people governance, but it's formal. It's a commitment, ethical commitment and strategic commitment of the board of directors with its management, and it includes, and this is important, the recommendation of the board, where the board has a rule of advisory. And it includes the recommendation, but as well the people priorities and the strategic planning that matches with the overall strategic plan of the company. And all of this is to give the board the correct information to lead to a very good and a strong decision-making process. So the Charter covers 8 principles. We can go to the next slide. It covers 8 principles. The first 3 principles are about the agenda, the expertise, and the knowledge. Principle 1 is validated by the board. Of course, the agenda is validated by the board and proposed by the executive team. The executive team has to make the work and to propose it to the board. The commission has worked in that sense by underlying the role of the chair of the board and the CEO, and for sure the quality of the relation that has the chair and the CEO and his HR and the rest of the team. So the point of the agenda point, the principle 1, is a very important one that I'm sure that we will discuss that later in our interviews and dialogues. The second one is the expertise. It is a classical point for boards, of course, that to have the right expertise around the table and to have the right expertise understanding what people governance strategy is, what human resources strategy is, what organizational strategy is, and so on, and to have it for the discussions and for the decisions. The third one, knowledge, is important if you want to develop, and is as well a classical in corporate governance, but as well in people governance, to develop a correct dialogue and to facilitate the engagement of directors. More and more directors want to invest time in people governance matters. We will probably have that discussions as well, but they want to understand the people governance matters, which is a complex one. So those 3 first principles are key to start the discussion, to have a dialogue space in the board with the management, and therefore they are the 3 first principles. The first principle is a statement. It has to be a statement of the board that the CEO, his management team, and this is important to say as well, the management team has a permanent mission about people governance within the organization. And this means that the board has to be in state to have on an ongoing process and ongoing information about the management team on how people governance projects, the people governance plan, when it exists, is living in the company. It is a permanent mission where the CEO and his team, his HR and other executives have the initiative to solicit the board. It is, to me, principle 4, a guarantee that it matches with the people governance continuity principle. The 5th principle is a very operational one, and it is probably the first tool, concrete operational tool that can give the opportunity to the board and the management to work together to talk about the people governance and to jump into this matter. And it is the guidance notes. You will find, you have received via the link in the invitation, you have received the entire charter. You will find a section of the recommendation 3 on how to draft such a guidance note. The guidance note is more than a 2-page document. It creates a space of dialogue. It gives sense to what people governance is in your organization, what it should be. It gives the vision, the values, the guidelines, the people governance principles, and it gives alignment between management and corporate strategy. Because we don't have to forget, people governance is therefore firstly to reinforce corporate governance. It's a plus, and it gives sense to the management, the middle management, and the workforce community. The guidance note is important because it is probably, when the board is starting with this exercise, it's a real collaborative, simple exercise to put in place, but it is a complex exercise when it goes to content, because you have to make choices. What is the sense? And we will for sure discuss that with Annele and Olivier. What is the sense? What are the priority in HR, in organization, in transformation, in governance, and so on? Which are the priorities, and which priorities do we want to underline through that guidance note? The charter gives an importance to that principle. Why for? Because it is probably the way how you can address the main segments of a people governance plan within the organization. And we come to the 6th principle, which is, we just have pointed it, the people governance plan design and planning. This is ambitious, of course. So I don't think that every company will immediately make a full-fledged people governance designed and planned with scenarios and so on. But it is important to have and to start that discussion. Most of companies, and we will for sure discuss that, have plans, have HR strategic plans, have corporate people governance plan, of course. But it is a work that has to be done firstly, and this is new compared to the other charters in the past because the world has changed. Here, the management team and the CEO have the initiative, the real initiative, have to build that plan, have to make a proposal, and have to come to the board and negotiate it. And so it is. It has to be, of course, approved by the board. It's a buy-in exercise, engaging everyone, leadership, manager, and employees. And this is probably the most important sentence in the charter regarding the people governance plan and the force that he has later on the board. It is coming from the operations. It is coming from the workers. It is coming from the middle management, translated by the board, translated by the executive committee, and giving to the board. And again, it leads to a dialogue, a permanent dialogue. It asks flexibility coming from everybody, because it's most of the time a new exercise, and it leads, and this is probably the most complex side of the people governance plan, is that it asks to the board to deliver some scenarios for the future. As you know, scenarios is not design what the future will be, but what is probable. What is probable. So now the people governance plan, you can go to the charter. We give more details, of course, of the content of such a plan. And you will have a recommendation tool with 6 axes, taking into account all dimensions that could be taken into account to make a plan. Now, the plan has to be validated, of course. This is principle 7. And the validation is more than a simple decision. It is an ongoing process, because the plan most of the time is a protection to the future at 5 to 10 years, and it asks that it has to be monitored, it has to be evaluated. It is a constant evaluation, and it has a board calendar. And this is, I think, one of the successes that the plan could have is that it is embedded into a board calendar. And I think we will have probably that discussion as well later. Now, important in that charter as well, previous, when we have tensions, when we have conflicts, tensions exist always, of course. When we have to address a concrete plan operationally, it has to be addressed by, firstly, the charter goes into that direction, as firstly within the executive team, and then, if not possible, well, going to the board to solve those tensions. Now, this is probably a difficult one, the principle 8, because it is a complex one. If we look to, I come back to 2007, if we look to the first charter, the challenge of at that time, and the world has changed, of course, during the last 15 years, but the challenge was essentially ethical. How bringing the ethical point of people governance on the board agenda. This was the challenge. Today, you have understood that conversely, how can, today it's obvious, I think, for everybody and every board director that people, and for sure people governance is essential to conduct the business well. So we have decided to put forward the point is to have a responsible of the people governance plan. Could be, of course, the first rule is that it has to be an executive member of the committee. Because they have to have a certain profile, understanding of the business. We will have that discussion. It can be, it could be normal that it could be the HR executive. It could be another executive. So the board has to make a decision about that. But we need, I think, to conduct on the long run, we need a responsible, the spokesperson within the board, within the executive committee that can help the executive committee following the plan, following the portfolio of the plan, and giving regularly feedback to the executive committee to make sure that the plan is going into the right direction and prepare the feedback to the board. So the executive people governance responsible is an important point. His profile is defined in his possible profile is defined in the charter. It is to give an ID, and it is not fixed, of course. And every company will have to define his own profile. The charter is structured in 8 principles to be seen as flexible principles. The methodology within the charter is, first of all, to find a way, if it's not done, and most of the large companies have already done that exercise, of course, to have a dialogue with the executive team about people governance. And one of the opportunity to have that dialogue is to start the exercise of the guidance, the guidance note, orientation note. The first note that has existed, I speak for Belgium, in 2007 is the Partena professional group has joined the executive teams and the boards of the group, the different boards, and have written a 4-page memorandum about what they want as people governance, behaviors, projects, and future for the company. So I think that in that case, you can start with that orientation note. You can find other ways, and we will discuss that, other ways to have dialogue spaces. So this is, in a nutshell, of course, quickly, what the People Governance Charter is about. And we will treat the questions that you have written on the Q&A. I will maybe mention that we have a Q&A, and we will take over all questions coming, of course, after that presentation in our discussions. So I want to start the discussion with firstly maybe ask Olivier or Annele if they have some reaction about the presentation about the chart before our first question.
Serge, if I could start just to mention, of course, yes, because I had the honor to be to share this commission for the people governance, and the thing I just want to share with the audience, it's to say that this charter, the aim of this charter, it's really to be pragmatic. It's really to give some ways, has explained by Serge, some ways, to really to have the right bridge between the board and the executive committee. And you will see, and I think that you received the charter already. And as you can see in this charter, is very, very pragmatic items, and currently, I'm using a part of them, in my own company, and it's really useful to just. And I think that I will come back on this later about especially the orientation note, which could be really useful for the executive committee to start the discussion, the dialogue with the board, and vice versa.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe from my point of view, so very comprehensive kind of guidance and paper this charter is giving, and I would also kind of emphasis having the kind of a very pragmatic approach. Every company has its own kind of challenges, its own maturity regarding to the strategy they are currently implementing. So you need to kind of find a fit for purpose type of approach for your own position, for your company, for your executive leadership team, but also for the board of directors. But I think that well-structured and very comprehensive study and work you have finalized. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Annele, Olivier. So we can start our discussion with a broad overview of human and people governance issue within your organizations. People governance, including HR strategy, of course, has taken more and more a strategic place in the organizations. How is it in your organizations about HR and people governance issues, generally speaking, of course?
Yeah.
Do you want to start? Yeah.
Yeah, whatever goes. So maybe I can start. So I think that in our company, we have quite a comprehensive and well-structured the way we are leading people capital, human capital topics or people governance topics, whatever you like to call them. They are tightly integrated to the kind of a management system that exists in the company on the group level and also in the business area level. And then we have also kind of agreed together with the board of directors with a special committee on the personal and remuneration Innovation Committee on the kind of in their charter, what are the content and that we are bringing to the discussion to the board of directors. So I think that the human capital issues needs to be tightly linked to the kind of a business strategy. So that's the kind of based on my experience. So they are the biggest enablers to driving and the transformation and implementing business strategy and developing also new innovation and growth for the company and generating value for the company as well. So integrate them very tightly when you are discussing and defining the strategy and actually bring the kind of people organizational capabilities as part of that discussion with your executive team, but also on the other levels of the organization. And then, of course, the full scope needs to be reported and presented and discussed and reviewed together with the board of directors. So that's kind of a main message, that it needs to go hand in hand with the business operation and strategy.
Thank you.
On my side, just to, from the beginning, and you understood that we have a very recent company. And for the beginning of Equans, the CEO and the executive committee have made HR a real strategic priority. And so I was a lucky guy, I would say, and at the same time, a huge responsibility for the HR line to build a company where everyone wants to stay, progress, and contribute. And in the line with the decentralized company's culture, because we are very decentralized, we had a bottom-up approach to design an HR global framework. And we met and we spoke to professionals. We mobilized the HR lines in all our countries, and we came up with a strategic HR plan, this HR plan named Our Teams, to really to attract talent, to make them want to stay, based on 3 pillars: attract, develop, and care, and just later a 4th pillar, perform. And all entities have developed their own Our Teams plan, which engages everyone from the field to the top management. And this plan is really adapted to respond to local HR challenges with one common factor, and this common factor is proximity. To follow up this the plan, we have 2 key indicators in addition to our performance level that are monitored by the ExCom and reported to the board. The first indicator is the resignation rate, just only, and today is at 7.6%. And this rate is 6 points less compared to 2022. That's great. And the second indicator, it's the level of engagement measured through our annual survey. We have an engagement survey every year, in which 91% this year, so at the end of 2025, 91% of our employees say they are proud to work at Equans. So this is the 2 main indicators, again shared with the board and presented by the executive committee regularly to the board.
Thank you, Olivier. One question is coming, mostly coming from the board. What kind of profile do we need as HR to be a good board member, spokesperson? Has the HR role evolved the last years? Because HR has to be able to read the company, has to be more completed, equal knowledges, financial knowledge, strategic knowledge, organization knowledge. Has the function evaluated, and is the function more ready to play the role within the executive team, the people governance role, than in the past? What is your opinion about that?
I think that it has evolved a lot during the last years, and of course companies differ quite a lot what comes to the maturity of how the companies lead human capital, human governance topics in each every level of the organization, but also together with the board of directors. But I think that what are the requirements for the chief HRO? For example, myself, my role at Neste as a chief HRO, I'm actually the secretary of the Personal Remuneration Committee. So I actually sit together with the board members in every meeting. And then I also regularly visit the board of directors meeting, give the full report on certain topics, the topics that Olivier actually also covered in his last kind of a comment. So I think that the chief HRO needs to understand the business. They need to understand the content of the business and translate that to the human capital topics. And also, if I may say so, that you need to speak the same language with the business leaders. You need to know your numbers, not only the human capital numbers, but also the business numbers, and understand what is needed, what are the most important enablers from the organizational and people point of view. I mean, the organizational strategic capabilities are the crucial to be then kind of translated and made the actions and agendas based on that. But I think that it's a really demanding role, so you cannot only sit the HR hat on anymore. You need to have a broad understanding of the business, understanding of the strategy, and to be able to also kind of a deep dive to the kind of operational levels of the organization, whatever is the kind of topics that are important and the most important priorities for that. Neste is a world-leading renewable company, and we have actually developed the whole kind of a renewable story based on our own technology. For us, it was in the very beginning very crucial that all my business HR leaders, and including myself, we understood that what are the strategic capabilities that we need to kind of start to develop and strengthen inside of the company to be able to kind of wrap up the business that was developed, the technology that was developed inside of the company, and make that a world-leading business. So that has been a kind of a huge transformation for the whole company. So these are my thoughts. So please, Olivier, fill in.
Maybe one question, sorry, before Annele. I had a question on the chat. What about the performance management responsibility? Are you involved as well in that, or?
Yes, I'm involved together with our CFO. So we are doing that together. So I'm the one actually. She is now my colleague, leading, of course, the content of the performance management and the whole kind of annual plans and the agenda. But I'm working beside her and preparing all the target setting for the board of directors discussion. Of course, it starts first from the making the proposal together with the executive team. Then that will be reviewed a couple of times with the Personal and Remuneration Committee, and then finally the board of directors will approve. I actually today had our committee meeting, and we had, of course, the kind of a closing of last year, and we looked all the kind of a performance cycle and the final results of our short-term and also long-term incentive plans. And tomorrow I will present those also to the BOD. And also today, actually, we discuss about also the talent management topics.
Okay, thank you. Olivier?
I said, yeah, because Annele, she said it all, I would say. But I would at Equans, the HR plays, I would say, a key coordinating role, working in strategic partnerships with every internal stakeholders, the CEO, the CFO, all the main managers, executives, and operational excellence. It's the case with the legal communications and so on. So it is really the bridge between, it's the natural link between all the key players in the company, and it's becoming really essential in our organization, without competing with anyone, but still in a position to challenge them. And it's important. But on one condition, I would add, it's that the HR must have the courage and the guts to be the ones who speak their mind and challenge, rather than simply, I would say, echoing the CEO's view. And this is the challenge. And every day with my boss, with my CEO, this is the challenge I have. It's to be, of course, we are several times agree, because we share the same direction, the same strategy. But for the day-to-day tasks and action, we could be disagree. But and I think my role, and the role I would say that I shared with my line, it's really to say that we're here to challenge. It's to the challenge is to improve. It's not to stop or to avoid some the progress. It's really to involve and to support all these stakeholders. And I would say that with an extensive knowledge of the business stakes, the HR knows the current people priorities. I shared what Annelle said before in terms of skills, safety, culture, D&I, and so on. And then we can monitor efficiently the people indicators which contribute to collective performance, of course. I just have an example. I talked about the resignation rate, and we follow this resignation rate country by country. And for instance, in Switzerland, the rate was far higher compared to other countries, and we addressed. So the HR addressed the issue with the CEO, even though the CEO was aware. But really difficult for him, to challenge or to have a direct action on this. And we set an action plan to reduce the rate with a close monitoring by the HR with the CEO. And thanks to this this partnership between the CEO and the CHRO, we succeeded. And in 9 months, just only in 9 months, this rate has decreased from 14% to 8%, in line with the growth of the economic and financial indicators too. So and we regularly, I would say that I share this example internally, to say that thanks to the partnership between the HR and the CEO, because the HR alone, it can't do anything, but the CEO alone, without especially the CHRO, I would say that it will be stronger.
Thank you, Olivier. We have an interesting question coming from Susanna. Well, she's asking, where do you see the biggest current challenges for boards? Knowledge, purpose, lack of alignment, lack of responsible person. I would assume that some principles are more of a challenge for smaller companies, ? As mentioned, some large companies are already doing good employee engagement. What is your understanding about that question? Interesting question.
Yes, this is a very tricky question because it depends so much about the challenges that the companies are currently seeing. But in this geopolitical environment, if I think about our company, but also the Finnair's aviation company and all the challenges actually that we have during the kind of a couple of years faced, and kind of how you need to adapt and how you need to kind of read the agenda almost every day and to be able to be resilient according to the what's going on. I think that it's the discussions in both boards, where I'm a board member, but also as a chief HR role. I think that it's how to further develop the kind of strategic capabilities and talent inside of the company for the future strategy. And what is actually then let's say it's so difficult. The volatility is so high for many companies and for many businesses to be able to see beyond 2030, for example, and what kind of capabilities are needed, where do we find the talent, and how do we actually develop the talent? And these are the questions that I think that the companies are currently discussing a lot. At least in our company, if I look at now leading position with the renewables and how much the company and our strategy is dependent on the regulation environment, what happens in US, what happens in Europe. So we need to be kind of agile enough to really to react and adapt to that situation. And today, like I mentioned that we have a talent management topic. We were discussing a lot about the organizational capabilities, talent development, talent acquisition, and also the strategy around that, because we are so dependent on people and key competencies and capabilities. But that's my experience. Of course, other companies might have different views based on their operational and strategic situation. How about you, Oliver?
So
yeah, I would say that that's exactly the same. I could have exactly the same comments concerning for this question. So nothing more to add, I would say.
Coming back to the expertise and knowledge, Hannele, the profile and the competence profile of board members, of executives going to the board members and so on is a question that you have handled. I thought you had maybe something to share about that.
Sorry, now you were asking about the requirements for the board memberships, or yeah. Well, I think that it's if you look at nowadays the board of directors of many listed companies, for example, here in Nordics, more and more kind of a broad diversity are bringing not only kind of a gender diversity or national diversity, but also based on the experiences and competencies. And that is definitely needed to have the kind of a very comprehensive, broad discussions on the board of directors level, and to be able to also to challenge the executive team on the business content of their operations, but also on the growth and strategy. I think that the world is and the companies are facing so many challenges because of the geopolitical situation that you need to have a very broad competence base on the board of directors level, but also on the executive team, and really appreciate and respect the kind of a variety of competencies. But of course, on the board level, then you need to have a certain amount of experiences and kind of seen different phases of different value chain of the businesses, or maybe also been leading a different functions or different businesses to be able to then kind of give you a full kind of a contribution on the board of directors level. It's really nowadays a demanding role, and I think that more and more boards are in the midst of this, all of what is happening in the globe currently. Boards needs to be also kind of a deep diving on certain operative issues as well. That has been the trend if I look now the couple of years.
Okay. So what do you think, both of you? What is how could we have executive HRs on board, and what would be the conditions to have those executive HRs on board level? Because it's a question that I have received as well. Because there are of course a lot of HRs on board in some countries, and the legals are different to countries from countries in Europe. We know that, but generally speaking, what would be the competence profile, I suppose, that is the question. Do you have an idea about that? A little bit improvisation?
Serge, I think my first reaction to say, of course, it could be nice when we have executives HR, at the board level, because it could accelerate some part of the people governance, in the company. But as mentioned by Annelle, I think that the most important thing is to have people around the table, as board members. It's really to be close to this conviction that people governance, it's another way to monitor the company. We have the financial governance, of course, but we have this one too. And I would say again that the most important thing for me around the table for the board members, it's really to have different experiences in terms of companies' cultures. It's to be really a witness of what is existing outside in other companies, and it's really to come with all of this experience to share and to challenge the CEO and the executive committee to go further and farther. It's more than to have HR in the board.
Yeah, based on my own experience, I have been now working also beside of my operative role 15 years as a board member in different listed companies. So actually this is my third board membership, and what opened the kind of a window opportunity for me to join the board, I think that it was also kind of my background also in business, but also in HR. So I actually have the kind of a dual experience to be actually leveraged then on the board of directors role. And I think that that's when you join as a board member, you need to understand that you are not only representing your kind of a subject matter things, but you need to have a kind of a holistic view. You need to be interested on financial numbers, on the performance of the company, the strategy of the company, competitive landscape, capabilities, culture, a lot of things. So that's a kind of a, in that sense, not only focusing what is your kind of a key specialist area, but be more holistic kind of on that.
If I could add something, I would say that more than to have, and that's nice again, I don't want to say the contrary, it's nice to have executive HR at the board level, but I would say that I think that the key role is the CHRO of the company too, because this HR plays a strategic advisory role toward both the executive committee and the board, and they bring evidence such as people indicators or risk analyses to the CEOs, which provides the board with solid and credible data. And the HR can challenge the CEO only if they bring facts and translate people issues into strategy. And it's what we describe in the charter too. And I think that it's the main important thing that we can share with the audience.
Okay, now another topic that we have addressed while preparing this webinar was the role and the support that we can receive from the specialized committees, and mainly the people and remuneration committees. Both of you have concrete experiences with that. Could you share that with the audience? How can specialized committees help bringing and communicate the message to the board, or help the people governance issues?
Yes.
Olivier or Annelle, yes.
Yeah, maybe I can start. So I've been also as my board membership, I have also been the chair of the committee actually in two different listed companies. So I think that this is kind of the board of directors, at least here in Nordics and in Finland, actually, they delegate the remuneration topics, but a certain talent management and human capital topics to the special committee. And I think that it's really important that that committee spends a lot of time on these topics and gives feedback, challenges the executive team, the CEO plus the chief HRO. And then some of the topics then will be also discussed and reviewed together with the board of directors. For example, in our case today, I came together with our CEO the full comprehensive review, talent management review of the leadership team, the direct reports to the CEO. So their potential, their performance, and we discussed about the strengths, but also the development needs and key kind of targets for this year and also coming years. So and of course the business content was and functional content was discussed as well, but also the succession planning. And tomorrow, actually, I will bring the presentation together with the CEO to the full board of directors. So I think that it's my experience is that these dedicated committees are very kind of important, let's say, way of leading people governance topics and to prepare these topics. And based on my experience, 20 years now, where with the HR on the listed companies, the scope of the committee's work, the charter and the annual clocks has broadened more and more to the strategic workforce, to the talent management, talent development topics. Committees are also following the engagement surveys, like Oliver pointed out, and discussing about the feedback coming from the organization. They are discussing also the cultural features of the company, how to further develop the culture of the company and way of working. But they are also kind of very keen on following whatever is the transformation program going or the change program going on the business levels or the group level. So I think that is an excellent way to emphasize these very important topics. And then when there's a smaller team dedicating to this topic, it definitely helps to bring those important aspects up to the board of directors level. And I think that's the charter is the key, that's agreement together with the executive team and board, that what are the topics that needs to be discussed, needs to be prepared and reviewed to the committee and further on to the BOD level. And then maybe it's my engineer background, but I have also kind of always build an annual plan, annual agenda, so that we agree on each and every committee meeting what are the topics that we will actually review, prepare, or then actually make the resolution proposal for the board of directors. So the systematic approach, the agreement in the beginning of the year helps definitely.
Okay, thank you.
I fully agree with what Anela said, because these committees, it's like the People and Remuneration Committee or the Audit Committee, they play a crucial role in making people governance visible, on mine, understood, actionable at board level. And this role is fully consistent with the People Governance Charter, which says that the board may rely on existing advisory committees to support its reflection on people issues. And at Equans, the People and Remuneration Committee is the first place where HR can explain people issues. And this committee is the first, let's say, filter where some directors can ask for details and challenge the strategy before it reaches the full board. It's really a win-win situation as HR speaks people to the board, and this committee helps HR speak governance, I would say. And by chance, this no later than this morning, the People and Remuneration Committee, where I attended it and where we discussed the company's governance, but also the people governance being challenged on indicators link the ethics, safety, environment, diversity, human rights, and of course the managerial governance or performance too. And I would say that the president of this committee, who is one of the directors, of course, of the board, challenged me this morning as CHRO on all of these topics with the objectives really to give the feedback to the board with our own recommendations and to monitor the people governance. And so in our organization, it's again, it's a key role.
Okay, so we will come to the end. Two questions left. A nice question, a difficult one coming from Karen. How do you consider implementation in a company with small number of people, 35 corporates and 300 in the field? So my question would be, has people governance a company size or not? It's a very qualitative question. What about small companies? Improvisation.
Yeah, I only have a kind of experience with the larger companies and larger entities, but I think that every company needs to define the very kind of a pragmatic approach, what is fit for purpose for them. So what works in the kind of a top listed companies, global companies, doesn't work with the kind of a private owned small companies, because then you need to have a more hands-on understanding of where the value is made and what are the enablers. So this kind of a very formal kind of processes that we have developed for the large scale companies doesn't work for the companies less than 50 people, definitely. And then the board of directors role is totally different in those companies. And I guess also executive team members are kind of a hands-on leading the operations as well.
Olivier?
Oh, yeah, I would say that it's thing that in our own organization in Equans, without this people governance, even though we don't name it, like this, but we're doing it. We're doing it, and of course, it's I would say that it's relevant for companies which are experiencing cultural transformation, where the HR function and the governance bodies needs to work hand in hand to support people throughout transformation. It's really key to have this people governance every day, and the relationship between the executive committee and the board is becoming more and more crucial, to really to lead the company. And I would say that without the board, I think that the executive committee couldn't have or could fail, just only because it's not this the second voice coming from the board. And in my opinion, it's really key, where in the same time the board has to be nourished, feed by the executive committee, to set up the governance, people governance, and the other governance. And that's in my opinion, it's really crucial. And I hope that through the charter, people, board members, and I hope executives could be inspired, to go far and to go further between this partnership between these two main bodies.
Well, the last question will be the following. Do you feel that today we need to keep convincing boards about the strategic importance of people governance? Do we have to keep convincing boards, or is it already done?
do we have to keep what? To keep convincing?
We have to keep convincing boards about the strategic importance of people governance, or is it already done? Do we have convinced to be?
Yes, I would say that in my both companies where I currently work, I would say that we are really convinced as an executive team, the board members are supporting that these are the people governance topics are crucial for this company's success. So I think that it's kind of evidence that actually in we last year had 10 committee meetings. And each of the committee meetings, beside of the performance management cycle, where we follow the targets and the performance of the company and remuneration topics, we also discussed about the strategic people, human capital topics, whether it's the question about the culture, engagement, talent management, succession planning, transformation program, and things like that. So I would say that I don't need to convince anymore. And the same goes also with Finnair, the aviation people's business, because it's so people business, and people make the kind of a profit of the company, and it's a question about the customer service and customer experience. So that's why the people are crucial. But I know that I've been lucky one working with the companies where this is the kind of already a strategic topic, and the CEOs in both companies are fully committed. But of course, there's different companies as well, and I think that that's something that needs to be highlighted, needs to be emphasized, and maybe also convinced to the in the broader context that these are important, that also the board has time for these topics, not as the last topics in their agenda, but really integrated to the other business topics. And while they are discussing the strategy annually, they should also discuss about the human capital strategy integrated together with that.
Great message. Olivier?
Yeah, the same on my side. It's a really win-win situation to work closely, between the executive committee and the board. Again, without this partnership or this relationship, this collaboration, we could not, as company member, I consider that we can't succeed, and that, as mentioned by Annelle, we have monthly meeting with the board of directors, and even though each month it could be due to the fact that it's different topics that we can share. It's really it's crucial to have this regular and strong partnership to go further.
Thank you. So we came to the end of this rich and inspirational webinar. Annelle, Olivier, thanks a lot for this rich discussion. I hope that there are some takeaways for the audience, for me, for sure. Maybe as a short conclusion, saying that if the charter then leads to a dialogue between the management and the board, actions within the company, respect for people, bringing and related by the management team to the board, well, I think that the charter is then a success for the recognition of the workforce and the work community. Thanks for the audience. Thanks, Annelle. Thanks, Olivier. And again, thanks to ecoDa and Partena Professional to have made that possible, and a good people governance in the future.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.